Hi everyone, this is Neil Wrighter, consultant audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in my latest video using the WAXscope, and this is part 2 of yesterday's video titled Extreme Earwax Removal. So this is the sequel to that. This is their left ear. It was the right ear that I uploaded yesterday that was the more challenging one, but similarly they had this really hardened plug of wax and keratin, and also they've got quite a hairy ear canal. And I had to use not only microsuction but the ear hook and the curette to extract this from the ear. I think at this stage when I was using suction it was just glancing off. It was given it was so hardened. What I'm trying to do is lift this off the back canal wall and trying to separate the plug. I'm getting a bit of skin out there, some dead skin. And you can start seeing the canal wall to the right, the pinky fleshy area. But I think, I'm going to use a lot of the manual instruments here. Just going to the top. Now there's a bit more space in this ear around the edges, so it's not fully impacted against the canal wall, which does make it a bit easier to use the manual instruments. Now this piece came away, and I was hopeful that sometimes with earwax it's a bit like Jenga. You remove one piece and everything just crumbles, but it wasn't to be the case. And again, when you insert the instrument, some of those hairs are kind of pushed out of the way at the same time, which is good. So I think I'm now going to use the ear hook or curette. Let's see. It's the hook here, and I've managed to get it quite deep. I've just rotated it, I've penetrated it into the plug, and I was hoping, so I kind of, in a sense, done the hard bit there, got it over the top, penetrated it in, but it just cut through. Quite often with plugs like this, the surface is really, really hardened, but the core is softer. So I'm just using the curette now. Again, it's a nice opening there. I've managed to get it in quite deep, just coming out, but I'm applying a lot of force here. I don't know if you can tell by watching the video. Now they've got this little step up near the entrance. So as I'm bringing this up, I have to come up over that step. Some of the wax just separated. So just thought I'll explain why I'm uploading a lot of WAXscope videos. Well, I actually still uploaded quite a lot of ClearScope videos, but more so the WAXscope. And the reason for that is the videos are not only for obviously everyone's watching, all the members of the public, but also for fellow specialists. And I kind of probably said it quite a few times, and it's sometimes a bit frustrating when you read some comments, because I think a lot when you watch videos and you don't have appreciation of the ear itself, that it's really easy to remove earwax. It's not. It's really, really challenging. And an endoscope at the ClearScope, I've said it since day one. You can't really compete with the view of an endoscope, but a lot of specialists struggle to use an endoscope. Even some ENT have said to me that they don't like using an endoscope, despite the obvious benefits, because it's much more difficult to manipulate, and therefore as people are struggling to use an endoscope, you've got an ENT operating microscope which provides a very similar view to what you're seeing here, although a 3D view because it uses binocular vision. But in terms of magnification, what you'll see in terms of the amount of wax in the canal wall, this is how you would see it with an ENT microscope. But an ENT microscope is, again, very difficult to train people on. It hasn't got the best body and hand ergonomics. You're kind of stretching out with your hands to use it. And obviously an ENT operating microscope is very expensive, it's very heavy, it's a high blueprints. It's not something you can cart away in the back of your car if you're doing domiciliary visits. And then you've got head loops, which I've again addressed before. Head loops they're like goggles, basically, magnifying lenses, but they just don't provide high level magnification. So the whole concept of the WAXscope, I kind of introduced commercially, I would say, at least, the endoscope in the UK. Probably one of the first people, if not the first person, to really use it and advocate for it, and start doing training courses. And the ClearScope is a device that I manufacture, and a lot of the other specialists that you see online are using the WAXscope. So where from a viewer's perspective, the endoscopic view is far superior than the WAXscope or any other method. But with the videos, it's also to educate other specialists who may be interested in developing their earwax removal service, and it's just for them to appreciate that if they can't use an endoscope, for me the WAXscope is the next best alternative in terms of use, the magnification, portability, recordability. So yeah, it's difficult because I'm kind of targeting different audiences. Obviously, I want members of the public to watch it, so they've got an idea of what to expect when they have the earwax removed, but also for fellow specialists who themselves will appreciate probably a bit more what the WAXscope offers, particularly if they're using loops and the low-level magnification. So the eardrum is clear, you can see it there, it's healthy, but now they have got an area of dead skin at the bottom, and I actually went back to finish this off with the endoscope. Again, I set myself appreciate there's some things it's much better with an endoscope. Now, removing wax off the eardrum, I would say the WAXscope now has become more or less my preferred method. And also for children, I've got another case. I might try and upload it later today, but it's a 3-year-old, and the WAXscope was brilliant because it just stabilizes everything. So the child's moving around, which inevitably they do a little bit. It's far more stability. But when you're working kind of in these kind of areas where there may be ulcerations and erosions in the ear canal, again, the endoscope you can't beat because you've just got that field of view. Although I managed to clear the outer layer of this, I went with the endoscope. I don't have the recording, unfortunately. But fortunately, there's no ulceration here. It was just some thickened keratin here that I managed to peel away, and underneath everything was fine. There was a bit of a dip in the ear canal in this region, but there was no ulcerations, no exposed bone, no infection there. So that's the still image I took from yesterday's video as well. So that's combined both ears. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, speak soon.